Hey everybody, welcome back to Lessons Learned, the podcast aimed to turn our experiences into your wisdom. I'm here today with Chris, Jared, and Talon, and today we're going to be talking about what to do when the passion for your job changes. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, thanks a lot there, Billy Bob Thornton. Today, you're happy with the job, you love it, you think it's the right job, and then years down the road, maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe days, it changes. You're like, well, I don't feel the same passion I used to for this job. How do you combat that? Or how do you move on from that job? So we're going to be talking about that a little bit today. So I think the three of us, minus Randy, all feel this pretty strongly.
Oh, Randy feels it pretty strongly too.
Yeah, he does.
We all re-enlisted about 6-7 months ago, and it's kind of hit us like, damn, why'd we do that? But we'll talk about it today. We'll go in depth. We'll explain why we feel like that and what our plans are for the future to maybe move on. So, Talon, let's send it over to you first.
So I've experienced this multiple times throughout my life already. Even though I'm only 24, I've had passion changes in terms of my career multiple times. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a cardiovascular surgeon.
Good Lord.
Wow. Yeah, that was like one of my goals. I'm just like, I really want to be a doctor. And for some reason the heart just like always intrigued me, but that changed.
Were you in it for the love?
Oh man. Yes. But that changed because I took like this EMT technical like school class when I was at senior year of high school, and I just kind of quickly learned that I don't think the medical field was right for me. Something just didn't feel right to me about it, and I don't know, like after actually like kind of experiencing it firsthand, I quickly lost a passion for it. And that's like one of the reasons why I also ended up joining the Air Force, is because I realized that, hey, this medical like career probably isn't right for me. And even when I still wanted to join the Air Force at first, I was like, I wanted to work in the cardiopulmonary laboratory, and I was like, that's the only job I want. Like I told the recruiter, I'm like, I only put that down as my list. And for a while I was like, if you can't find it, then I'm not going to join, until I completely decided it's like, I'm okay doing something other than medical. So, and that's where I am now, I guess.
Well, glad you got that job, otherwise we wouldn't have met you. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad I didn't get that job either. So
Yeah, I don't think you would have liked it, especially in the Air Force.
No, definitely not.
That's cool, dude. I didn't know that. That makes sense. I knew you were an EMT at one point, or had the training at least. So that's pretty cool. That's funny you mentioned that, because before the Air Force, I was going to school for physical therapy, and I was like, nah. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I really enjoyed learning about the human body and like how it functions and stuff, but it's too competitive for me personally. School was too competitive. Like, I was looking at it as if I might not even get accepted to programs down the road, so am I just wasting all this time? So to me, it wasn't worth the potential of losing all that time. So I stopped.
You just didn't have the heart for it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I didn't have it. But yeah, so then I also joined because I didn't continue school because I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I joined. But yeah, so getting into current times, we re-enlisted, and big oofs. Big oofs.
F's in the chat.
I think to start off, right, let me start with my career, right? So like, I was excited. I was nervous to join, but I joined, and I was very happy, met all these new people, traveled a bit, like been to parts of the country I never even thought I would be before I even ever deployed. So it's cool. You know, I felt a sense of pride putting on a uniform and like having people thank me for my service. Like, as dumb as that sounds, like it makes you feel good. Like, you feel important, feel like you're doing your job for your country, right? And I've hit a point where putting on that uniform no longer symbolizes that to me. It symbolizes, yo, fuck this. I don't want to go deal with these people anymore. And that's a really sad truth, is, you know, people at work can dictate how you feel about that job. And it can be totally different if you have different coworkers that are working with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
for sure.
Like, one thing that annoyed me about the military is playing the game. And
yeah,
there are a lot of people that you just have to play the game with. You know, you can't avoid it. If you want to succeed, if you want your office or your team to succeed, then you have to play the game. And sometimes you have to make it seem like they did all the work and they get the credit in order to get anywhere.
I mean, I think that's...
Or just shutting up and coloring.
Yeah, I think that's still a concept, even though that translates to the civilian world too. Because, like, we run into that same thing at my job.
Yeah.
Explain.
So it's like, I mean, you know, like, listen, I will say, like, my current job right now, I love my boss. He is great. But, you know, it's funny, like, he actually won Director of the Year last year. And which, again, great for him. I congratulate him. You know, and not that he didn't do a lot of work, but, like, when you really think about, like, in an office setting like mine, who did, like, really all the work? It's like the people underneath him, and, like, okay, it's great that he got Director of the Year, but we really got, you know, the people underneath him get no recognition for that.
So maybe there needs to be almost like an award system for you guys, and be like if I was in his position, I'd be like, hey, look, I couldn't have done that without you guys. So
which
like
he did say,
you know. Oh, well, like, I would still, like, buy you lunch or, like, give you bonuses or something, you know? Like,
yeah.
If his job came with, if, like, that award came with any of that for him, I would also pass it down to you guys.
Or maybe publicly make it known too. Like, I don't know if there's, like, a ceremony for it or something like that, but, like, if I were him and I got that, I'd be like, yeah, like, thank you for this, but, like, in all honesty, it's because of these people.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not an award for them for possibly, but, like, it's, if it wasn't for them, this is, yeah.
Or, like, here's actually an even better example, especially, like, you know, because it really ties into, like, the current circumstances with COVID and everything. So my particular office, I don't know if we got lucky or if we were just smarter about it or if it was a little bit of both, but we were, as far as I know, we were definitely the most successful office in our region during COVID, and we were maybe the most successful, like, possibly in the whole company. And a big reason for that is, like, the initiative that our director and our employees took as far as, like, you know, doing certain things. I'm not going to get into that part of it too much, but the point I'm trying to get to here is we were supposed to get raises, like, a week before COVID hit. And then when everything got shut down, they took away our raises. And then what ended up happening...
Really?
Yeah, they... well, not that they didn't take them away, they just didn't, like, implement them. And which is really bullshit when you think about it anyway, because the raises are based on your numbers from the previous year. So it has nothing to do with what's going on, like, you know, currently. Yeah. So what ended up happening was they basically made a rule that the entire region had to be back to 90% of their numbers that they were doing before COVID until we could get raises. So now here's the thing. My office was back to 90% by, like, the beginning of May. We didn't get our raises until the end of September.
But, like, so you were back almost immediately.
Yeah. So, like, but again, because we were smart about it and we took good initiatives and, like, we got people on the telehealth system quicker and, like, we just did a better job with it. And then we ended up getting screwed in the long run because, like, number one, we had to wait longer than everybody else to get our raises, even though our office was, you know, way ahead of the rest of the region. And then, and I don't know if this was the case for me, but I know some of my coworkers said that, like, they didn't even get their full raise that they were supposed to get. So it's like, not only, like, did you really not even kind of thank the office that kept you afloat, but then you took away even more.
So is this is not getting the raise because of COVID? Is that the reason?
Yeah, that was because of COVID, but and like, to an extent I understand that, but then just like the way they kind of did it, where they, like, pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and they played this whole card of, like, oh, it's like all the offices in the region have to be back. It's like, okay, well, that's really not fair, because you have offices whose numbers haven't grown at all since the beginning of COVID just because of their demographic. Like, if you have offices that are mostly older people, which some of them are, those people are going to be less likely to come back in sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Did they communicate with you guys, like, why you weren't getting raises and stuff?
They just kept telling us it was because of COVID.
Oh.
And then I just think my point is more that like we got basically nothing for doing all the work that we did versus other offices who didn't take the initiative and kind of like delayed our raises even more.
Yeah.
I think that translates perfectly to the Air Force as well.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Here's the problem with the Air Force. Your pay is based off of grade, not merit. So I think me and Tom were talking about this like last week.
Earlier this week, actually.
Yeah, this is a passionate subject to us because, we're both staff sergeants, right? For example, Talon could just be home doing nothing. He could be a dirtbag doing nothing, which he's not. But he can get the same amount of pay as if I was grinding 40, 50, 60 hours a week at work. We get the same pay. It doesn't matter. And to me, that's just wrong. Like, if I'm killing it and this guy's not doing anything, why am I getting the same amount of money?
Exactly. And that's how
it works.
That's a bad problem, I think, just in general. And I think obviously it doesn't work the same in the military as it does in like the civilian world. But the way I see it, like, if you're not doing your job, then you should be fired. Because what are we paying you for if you're not doing your job? But I feel like instead what happens is now, because of just the way people are so like sue happy and everything, is that it's so hard for businesses to fire people that it's easier just to delegate it to other people. And then they end up doing more work for the same amount of pay as somebody else. And then, the companies are like, oh, I don't understand why you want to leave.
Yeah. Well, we're getting off topic here a little bit, but it's more about like the passion, how you lose it. But it sounds like, Randy, you're losing it pretty hard.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's just a general thing. Like, I feel like I see that that's in every job where it's like now,
right, well,
that's just what happens now. Is like, it's so hard to actually fire somebody for not doing their job that it's easier just to like make a good employee unhappy.
Yeah.
Right, and that can lead to you just getting frustrated and be like, well, why am I putting up with this?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, so like, back to my topic a little bit is just putting that uniform on. Number one, it makes I don't feel the same way anymore. I've been screwed over enough, and like you get in, you look at all these old crusties, and like, yeah, I'm getting out. Like, screw that. Like, they're at their 10-year mark. Like, I've met people, so for those that don't know, if you retire at 20 years, you get half of your pay as a pension for like the rest of your life, which is pretty good. So then when people get out at 10 years, you're like, dude, you're halfway there. Like, what happened? They're like, I just don't feel it anymore. And when I was younger, I was like, damn, like, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Like, that's
you're
crazy.
Almost there, dude. Yeah. Now I'm at year 6 and I'm like, damn, this sucks. But it's because of so many factors, man. Like, for example, that whole deployment, and then I'll give some current examples. I've been back to work pretty consistently now, and I work 2-3 days a week, which is consistent for me, but it's still COVID ops. But even though it's only 2-3 days a week, like, I'm still getting stressed out. There's just times where like there's people that are passive aggressive, and there are people that don't let you rule yourself. Like, I didn't have a supervisor for a very long time. I was just working for my boss, like, who ran the whole office, and things worked perfectly. He was like, you do you, man. As long as work's getting done, like, do you. I was like, all right, sick. But now I got this new supervisor in, and he's a little by the books, and it's kind of annoying because that's not how I operate personally. Some people need it, don't get me wrong, but for me personally, I'm like, I look at the rules and I'm like, these rules don't apply to me because they're just stupid. Like, there's no reason I need to sit here till this time just because you tell me to sit here. If I go into work and I grind everything out in an hour, dude, I'm gonna dip. Like, I'm not wasting my time just literally sitting there staring at a screen doing nothing.
And you get paid the same either way.
Exactly.
Yep.
So why not let me better myself? Let me go home, work on the podcast. Let me go home, work on some photography. Let me go home, read.
Go to the gym.
Go to
anything.
the gym. Exactly. And, a lot of people are really good at that in our career field right now. But there's also some, like, for example, now I'm hitting that point where I'm butting heads with somebody a little bit, and it's about that conversation, you know, like I'm losing passion for my office job, which I didn't really mind. So it's just people can kind of dictate how you feel about your job. And it's kind of a sad truth, like I said before, is because I was passionate about going to work. I enjoyed going to work, spending time with these people who made me laugh. Like we got along great. You know, it was awesome. We got our work done, but we had fun, and then you just leave. But now it's just like I kind of dread it because I don't want to have these conversations with this person. I don't want to be like, I don't want to have to argue every day to leave, to go home.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to talk a little bit here, boys. I'm sorry. But, and then I got this, news that I might be going back to the sandbox here. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. There's got to be a way that you realize what I went through last year and you can understand. Jesus Christ. Hold on. And you can understand how I feel and like what I went through and like work with me, you know, like you've got to understand that you're going to burn people out. And this is why people get out, because you don't listen to what they have to say. So my plan is to go in and sit down with this person who's tasking me to go to the desert again. I'm going to be like, look, man, I rebuilt that shit last year. Like, and I got extended and screwed over multiple times. And this person can vouch for me. This upper leadership can vouch for me, right? And 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to tell me, suck it up, like whatever. And that's what I'm going to bring in, like that person that understood what I went through. And if he says he can't do anything about it, which he probably will because we know this person's personality, then I'm going to bring in someone even higher up and be like, look, you're burning this kid out. Like he used to want to make a career out of this. And you are single-handedly making him regret all of that. Like regret his re-enlistment. And that's honestly what's happening to me right now is if you don't take care of your people, how do you expect them to remain passionate about their job? How do you expect them to come in 100% every day when you don't listen to what they have to say?
That's exactly the point I was trying to make before too.
Yeah.
And like,
where it's like, that's what I was trying to say, where it's like you take the good people and like the hard workers and you just keep slamming them with stuff while the lazy people kind of just get away with being lazy. And then you wonder why, you know, those people become bitter. You wonder why those people want to quit or like, you know, again, like in your case, regret their re-enlistment or don't want to re-enlist when the time comes. Because you've taken what passion they do and just kind of like walked all over it because you could. And that's like, that was the point I was trying to make before. It's like, you know, you won NCO of the year. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did.
So like,
so that proves it's to you, almost, like I'm doing,
but like
I'm doing everything I can.
And my point though is like, it's almost like, hey, here's NCO of the year. Oh, we're going to screw you over again. It's exactly. Like, what was it supposed to soften the blow? Like,
yeah, it's recognition for everything I went through last year, and now you're gonna redo all of that pain. Like, are you kidding me? But again, here's how to deal with it. Here's the lessons learned out of this: is I'm going to take initiative and have that conversation before I get to that point of no return. Before I hit my breaking point and be like, I'm either out of the squadron, like I'm done with you, or like I just accept it and go anyway. But that's not gonna solve anything. So I have to sit down. I have to bring in these people, and I'm not saying go in and bitch. Like I'm not saying that. What I'm going to do is just go in and sit down and be like, "Hey, this has been stressing me out, dude. Like I can't sleep anymore because it's just on my mind, like the back of my head. So I've needed to have this conversation with you, and I want you to understand where I'm coming from and why I don't think it's fair that you send me back. Like I've been DNIF. I've been trying to get good to go, and as soon as I'm good to go, fly again. You want to send me right back to where I came from." Like, to me, in my mind, that's a little fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
And, you know, just professionally have that conversation and maybe leave out the fucked up part.
Say it in your head,
what you
though.
need to do?
Yeah.
You need to bring in Talon and I. Bring in the big guns.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bring me in, I'll show him.
He'll be terrified once we walk in. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If he sees my beard, if he sees my beard, he will just straight up be like, all right, Chris, you can stay.
But no, I'm not gonna give out all of our deployments, but I was supposed to go to this really cool place I haven't been before, and I had it in the works last year, like a year ago, man. It was in the works, it was all planned out, and they leave here in soonish, but I'll be good to go, right? And I did this deal with somebody. He's like, hey man, like I understand what you just went through. You could take my trip to this cool place. I was like, all right, sweet, dude, that's awesome. And then since I can't fly right now, they just gave it away. And I'm like, but I will be ready in time, like with plenty of time to spare. And like, well, we need like solid yeses. I was like, well, it will be a solid yes. Like I'll literally be good like 2 months prior to when this trip leaves. And they're just not scheduling me for it. And now they gave it to someone else after I made the deal. And like that guy, out of the kindness of his heart, gave me that trip because he knew what it meant to me.
Yeah.
They just ripped it away without even asking me.
Yeah, it kind of fucks over that other guy too because he did it for you.
Right.
But now both of you guys are out of that trip.
Right.
So it's just, it's just 2 middle fingers.
Yeah. So I again have to explain that to him. And of course, all of our leadership changed. Well, one guy left who really kind of understood how that stuff worked, and he's gone now. So now it's just like me against this one guy who doesn't really know me. So I don't think I'm going to win this battle. But again, like, how do you deal with this? You need to have a plan A and a plan B. And plan A is have a conversation. Hopefully it changes. I don't really see it changing though. Plan B is you're going to be like, look, dude, I don't like how you're running this place. You're not taking care of your people. So I'm leaving. Like, I'm going to a different squadron and I'm going to go do something I'm not very passionate about over here, but I'm going to do it better than I would work here with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, your case is a perfect example of how an outside factor such as a person can completely change your career and your passion. It could just be one person, one event, and it can completely change your life.
It's just that one person has the power, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
But I think if you bring it up to people more powerful than that and explain, like, look, dude, I'm winning all these awards, I'm doing everything right. Why am I getting dicked over still? And like, you just have to bring this to their attention. And be like, yeah, maybe this isn't right. Maybe we do need to cut this guy a break, you know? Like,
yeah. And bring a possible solution. Like you kind of talked about, it's like, oh, move this person here, move that person here, stuff like that. Come up with a solution
which you shouldn't have to, because that's that one guy's job.
Yeah.
However, if that's what it takes, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna send it.
Hell yeah,
Joe. But so that's my life right now.
It's a shame to see people like you, like people who are good at their job and people who like it and have a passion for it. It sucks to see them leave. Like you have people, I mean, we had a guy who got kicked out not too long ago. And it's like, yeah, you're going to have people that suck and they get out or they get kicked out. But it really hurts to see the good people get out just because they're tired of being pushed around.
I think tired is the perfect word for it. Just tired. Everything.
People
physically, mentally, all of it. Honestly, it's like, I don't want to wake up to go to this job anymore.
Yep.
So why am I going to?
Yeah, and Jared, talking about like what you just said. It's a lot of the time it's the good people that you see get out. I actually had like an old commander that I like was just talking to just for fun, because that's just what I did, and he had some people getting out, and he says like, it's always the good people that always get out, and it's always the less desirable people, or the people that have they have no other options that have to stay in.
Right.
And it really does show like it.
And I've talked to you about this a lot recently, is that, I mean, granted, there's probably some good people who stay in. Like, I know a bunch of friends that plan on staying in right now that are good people. But to me, I feel like the people that stay in and make a career out of it have to be told what to do in their lives. They can't just get out. They're not go-getters. Now, I'm not talking shit on the military at all. I'm just, from my opinion, this is what I see. They just need to be told what to do. They have no passion to do anything else. Whereas us, we can get out right now, and even if we're struggling, we're going to grind to make something of ourselves, no matter what it is. We'll make it work. But it's hard. And then those people that have no passion, that kind of are just in to get the money at the end of the day and are just going to skate by to do whatever it takes to get there, those become your leaders. And that's when there's an issue, because like you said, all the good people, the inspirational people, have gotten out because they know they could do bigger, better things.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I think it goes back to what Randy said though too, is that those good people, a lot of the time they have to pick up the slack for those less desirable people, and that's when they start getting tired. Yeah. And it's not just because they feel like they can go do better things somewhere else. It's just because they can't see themselves dealing with that lifestyle for that long, not getting the recognition that they deserve, and having to pick up the slack from other people that get paid the same as them, that literally gets all the same benefits, and everything happens exactly the same. It doesn't make a difference. And this kind of, I guess I can kind of talk about like my side of all of this, like especially in the military and everything like that. I was in the same place as Chris when I first got in. I honestly loved it. The camaraderie of like just, I mean, all the people that you meet, and like you can have connections with these people just because you're doing the same thing as them.
And real quick, I want to interject just real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
I feel like your first term is the best term because all of these good people have not gotten out yet.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly true. And you meet so many people, you learn so many things. Like at the very beginning of your career in the Air Force or military in general, you learn this new job, you then get experienced with it and everything like that. You learn so much at the very beginning. And then it kind of plateaus to some degree. Like right now, like we're not learning a whole lot in our careers or anything like that. We're just doing the rat race essentially. And over the time of the years, I completely agree with Chris. So like at first it was so cool putting on a uniform every single day. You feel like you are doing your part to make the country a better place, or you're doing your part, and you get thanked for your service, and you feel confident putting on that uniform and everything. But then later on, like now me at this point, I put on my uniform. It's just, I honestly at this point, I kind of dread it. And I really want to say that like we're not trying to talk crap about the military or anything like that, but this is our personal lives at this point. And I put on the uniform and I'm just like, I somewhat feel ashamed to myself, because like at this point in my life, it's not what I want to do. So I put that on. I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? And a lot of like Chris and I, and probably everyone in the military, have had similar experiences with like when it comes to like the people that you really got along with. A lot of time they get out, so they move on to different places than you, and you're at times just stuck doing what you were before, and you just can't. You just lose the passion for it, because the people that made things so much fun are just kind of gone. And I loved our job at the very beginning, even when we weren't doing our actual job. Just going to the office, just like you said, like talking to people, laughing with them. I mean, our squadron was great. Like we would go play foosball like every Friday. I remember like we would just go play foosball because this is what Fridays kind of were. Like it's just our time to kind of hang out with people.
It was camaraderie.
Yeah, it was honestly really fun. Like I loved it. And like roll calls, like we literally all get together as a squadrons. Like it was great. Like the traditions and the culture that we had was awesome. And COVID kind of ruins that, because we can't do those things anymore. And maybe it would come back and everything, but at the same time, the people that I used to love doing these things with are now gone. And I've also lost the passion for those traditions and those cultures, because I also see it as like, yeah, as much as I love just joking around and drinking with my friends at work and everything like that, at the same time, I'd rather be doing something more productive. So even the last like couple years, I stopped going to those things. It's like, why would I go here when I could just go do something else, like go to the gym or do something that I can feel like is bettering myself. And yeah, and I think a lot of the times, I don't know, like the re-enlistment thing, probably months after, I realized it was a mistake for myself. But the way that the military works is you sign a contract, and it's for re-enlistments, the minimum is 4 years. So 4 years, 6 months in, the new 4 years, and I start regretting it. I really hope the next 3.5 years is going to be a lot better for me.
Yeah. So you either need to break yourself or break a law, or just stick it out.
Oh no. I probably just stick it out. I would hope so. That's what my choice would be. But yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, Talon, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I kind of feel like a big reason you guys kind of felt a little more pressure to re-enlist was because of all the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same reason why like I haven't been as active about looking for a job, because it's like the jobs just aren't there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can give my personal, I think I've said it on the podcast before. One of the main reasons why I re-enlisted was because of COVID. At the time, I think COVID now, the world's kind of gotten somewhat used to it and adapted to it. But back then, it was still early on. Like that was like back in like April, May, I had to make a decision. It was still really new. People had no idea what the future was going to hold. Like they a lot of people honestly thought like things were going to be a lot worse, and that's when I kind of had to make the choice. Is like, do I want to risk it, or do I want to just know that I have this safety net of staying in the military and keeping my lifestyle as it is now? Now, thinking back to it, I could have done things better, because like for me, I was scared because I just bought a new house, stuff like that. I'm just like, oh man, if I don't have a job, how am I supposed to afford this? Then I have to sell it like literally months after buying it. Like I would be out of money with just because of selling fees and everything like that. So stuff like that scared me. But I mean, I now would have had a plan. Like I could have just gone to school. I could have just taken mortgage forbearance, stuff like that. I would have been perfectly fine. But yeah, at the time I was definitely scared, and I don't know if Chris or Jared or anyone else was too.
Well, so I don't regret. It's weird. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I think should happen. First off, I regret re-enlisting. However, it was for my best interest, because the way that deployment worked, I got back and I had 3 weeks to make a decision. What am I doing with the rest of my life? Like, oh, fuck. No clue. So I was like, well, I have to re-enlist, because number one, I don't even have enough time to use all my terminal leave. Like, we rack up all this leave, and like you can get out 2 months, or like say you have 60 days of terminal leave. You can get out 2 months before your last day in the Air Force. And because you have all those days off, like you can literally take 2 months off before you officially separate. So I wasn't even able to do that, because the way I got back, like it didn't work. So that's another reason they screwed me over. Like I was not given the opportunity to even consider this. So to me, in my position, like I had to re-enlist in my mind. I had no plan, like, because I wasn't prepared for it, is what I'm getting at. And then I was glad I re-enlisted, because then COVID hit. I re-enlisted like a month before you.
Yep.
And then COVID hit, and I was like, damn, I'm glad I did this, because I might have not had a job for like this whole time. And at least I got a steady paycheck and everything. Now, the world's used to it, like you said. I am regretting it, because now I'm seeing the monotony of everyday life. It's just not what I want.
Yeah.
Here's how I think it should work. And here is like, the Air Force is always, oh, what's some initiatives you want to take? Like, be innovative. Like, what do you want to see change? And here's what I want to see change. Give us the option to re-enlist for not 4 years.
Yeah.
Give us the option to do like an indefinite enlistment.
Or like an opt-out. Like have an opt-out clause.
Well, yeah. But that's kind of hard to do. I would want to do is like
you enlist for 4 years, but have an opt-out clause after 2 or 2.5 or something.
Yeah,
like
even that'd be pretty cool. So that's kind of like what I would assume. Like what I want to see is like you can re-enlist for 20 years. Like sure, like you'll just renew. You don't have to renew, but like you're good for 20 years if you want to do 20 years, however long you want. But you can also get out whenever you want. You just have to give 6 months, 4 months notice, right? This way,
or even a year, even if you could give a year notice.
Right. Yeah, that's a little long, but like still, who cares? That's what I would love to see, and I think you'd see so many people stay in, because
I think you'd see more people
I
join.
Feel comfortable. Yeah, like I can see. I think there should still be initial 4 years. Like the Air Force has to get money out of you, right? So maybe initial is still 4 years, but like you could extend for a year, which we all did. I don't know, Jared, did you extend?
Yeah, I extended for 1 year.
Yeah, Talon, did you?
Yep.
See, that's the smartest thing. Like, people take advantage of that, because why not? It gives you a year to, like, reassess where you are in life. And we all did it. And then you're stuck re-enlisting, because there's no option to extend and extend and extend. But I think if you had that extension process, people would be like, damn, I can get out. If this doesn't work, like, I'll sign up for another year. If it doesn't work, who cares? I'll just get out. And,
yeah.
Like, I have this year to work on myself to support myself when I get out, get a plan. Like, why isn't that a thing? Why do you have to sign 4 years, man?
Yeah, it's a long amount of time. Like, if you just think about the number itself, it doesn't seem like a lot, but living it 4 years is a long time.
26 to 30.
Yeah.
That is a huge gap. And that's where I'm at. I'm in till I'm 31 now.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane, man.
That's nuts.
So, oh, God. But I would love to see that change. And I think the culture as a whole would get a lot better, because you wouldn't have those people get out after 4 years, like those good people.
You also wouldn't have
them.
you wouldn't have the bitter people either, you know, because you wouldn't have the people that are in for.
I still think you would.
Well, no,
yeah,
but
they
like
probably still exist.
But the thing is, like, they wouldn't be in for as long. Like, you wouldn't have the people who, like, you know, they re-enlist and then 6-8 months, a year into it, they're like, fuck this shit. Now I got to be in for 3 more years. Like, that's somebody who's bitter for 3 years. Like, if you get, like, bitter and realize you hate it after 6 months, it's like, all right, I got 6 more months and I'm out.
Well,
that's true.
The bitter people you find, like the bitter people that are in for 20 years, are people who know they don't enjoy the job, but they're letting fear drive them. They're letting fear drive their decisions in life. And those are the bitter people you see.
And so there's a difference between, like, we're not very necessarily bitter with our jobs right now. We're just like, damn, like, we wish we could be doing something bigger and better. And, like, it's just not for us anymore. It's just not a good fit. Not saying we go to work like, fuck this, I hate everybody in here, like, I'm not going to do my job, like, this sucks. Like, we're not those people. We're just like, we're sitting down and being like, why did I have to re-enlist? And, like, really analyzing it. And I think Jared nailed it. Is we talked about this before the podcast too, is the fear that you go ahead, Talon, talk about it. Like,
well, I do want to say that we could evolve into that bitterness, because that's the thing. Like, at this point, we're only like 6 months into this 4-year enlistment kind of thing. At this point, we're still working as hard as we can and everything like that. But who knows? In 2 years, we could just be like, fuck this, and just check out for the rest of the time, and just like we could be those dirtbags that just skate by, where other people have to pick up the slack on it and everything like that. You never know. But there's no options, because now we're stuck with that. So it's just like, even if we turn into that type of person that's just bitter, it's like you have to deal with us.
Yeah.
And
which is not the right thing to do.
No. And
it's wrong for them and everybody else.
Yeah. And Chris was talking about fear. I truly believe, I think this is one of the inherent problems with the military as a whole, is they really make you comfortable, which is a good and bad thing, because it means that you can't really grow as a person, but it also makes you scared of everything else in life, because in the military you get decent pay, but at the same time they take care of you. You know that you get a paycheck every single 2 weeks. You know that your health insurance is completely covered. You know that if anything happens in your life, the military is probably going to help, like, try their best to take care of you, because they're not going to let you die or fall into debt or anything like that, because they need you to do your job. So they're going to take care of you at the least the minimum to make sure that you can do your job. And the military, like, I know for me, it's called the informed decision brief. And this is basically when you're getting ready to either make a decision to get out or re-enlist. And the informed decision brief, the one that I went to, I don't want to say that they're all the same, but the one that I went to, it seemed like it was just nothing but fear tactics. Literally the whole hour of the brief was just like, it started off with, hey, do you guys know how much health insurance costs? And it's just like, they're like, yeah, this is like, they broke down the cost for it and everything like that. They're like, especially if you have family, oh man, like if you have kids, man, that's thousands of dollars a month, and just stuff like, that's all they talked about. And they didn't talk about how to get jobs on the outside. They didn't talk about like how to progress and like in different careers, or how to get different education or anything like that. They talked about all the good things in the Air Force, and that if you get out, you're going to lose all those things and you're going to be terrified. You're going to turn like, they literally, the one that I went to, they showed like VA numbers of like homeless veterans and stuff like that. I'm just like, the fuck? Like what? Like what? This isn't an informed decision brief. You're just straight up trying to scare these people to like make sure that they don't want to do anything else in their lives. And I know plenty of people, like I've had plenty of people go to like stuff like that, or they're getting ready to get out and everything. They're like, I know that, like I've talked to them and they're like, oh, I know that I could probably do other things on the outside, but at the same time, it's so easy to just stay in and just keep doing what I'm doing. Because even like right now, COVID like really opens my eyes, because it doesn't matter, because the way that the military pay works is, Chris already said it, it's your pay, it's your rank and your time and service. It has nothing to do with actually how much time you work, and it has nothing to do with your job or your results that you get. It's literally just your rank and your time and service. So there's no difference between us, who only maybe works like 10 hours a week because we are teleworking most of the time or something like that, versus someone that could be working 60 hours a week on the flight line or doing something like that. We get paid the same. In fact, we actually get paid more because we get something called flight pay, but we get paid the same. it doesn't make a difference, and it doesn't matter how much hours we work, and it doesn't matter what our results are, because we said it before, you could be a dirtbag and you could try and avoid going to work. You can literally just go into work and do nothing and pretend like you're doing something. You'll get paid the same as someone who is grinding as hard as they can, because it doesn't matter what your results are. It just matters that it matters that you're just alive, essentially.
That's only to an extent though, right? Because they have programs like the Senior Airman Below the Zone program, where you can make E4 a little bit faster than your peers. And then once you move up in rank, you actually have to earn the rank. So, I mean, I get what you're saying to a point. So, yeah, probably that lower level up until you're like an E4, those 4 years or so. No, I
disagree.
Then, yeah.
So, Jared, I see where you're coming from, but that kind of goes back to playing the game that we talked about. Promoting in the military, it's up to the Air Force of when that happens, and there's rules around it. So, like, for me, this year, I'm not up for promotion. I could be kind of a dirtbag this year if I really wanted to. What really matters is those times that you're up for promotion. I could be grinding it out this year or last year as much as possible. I could be the greatest person ever, but I can't get promoted. And it's just stuff like that, because it's like you just have to, honestly, as long as you know how stuff works and you know how to play the game, that's what matters more than what your actual work results are. And even like when it comes to performance reports, dude, like what matters is like a lot of the time is like how good can you write this bullet versus like what you actually did. And it really just comes down to how informed you are in playing the game. And like I learned this over the years that I've been in the military, and that's a big reason why I've lost the passion for it, is because I know that it doesn't really matter how great of an airman or NCO you are or anything like that. What really comes down to it is how well do you know how to play the Air Force's game.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the thing, is you lose that passion because of that. Like, you see people who do know how to play and they get everything. But at the same time, like, you can do the same thing if you want to. Like, that's kind of what I'm doing, is I know how to work it. Even though I don't have this passion for it, like, I don't feel like I want to do this, but I'm still going to do the best job I can for it because I want to get paid more. So I'm up for testing. In 2 months, I test for tech sergeant.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it all because I'm going to do that work no matter what. Like, this is how the military works, is like, and I'm sure in the civilian sector too, like, we need you to do it. Look, we got all this work that needs to be done, this leadership type stuff. You're going to do it regardless. So I might as well get paid for it, man. Like, I hate the people that are like, I'm not going to study for this test. I don't care if I make it or not. Like, bro, you're going to do the same work. Why not increase your pay?
The problem is when you start doing that stuff and you don't get paid for it, though. Like, that I think is another place where you start to lose your passion. Like, that's
what
something,
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's something that, like, I've run into. Like, I'm never one to be like, I'm not going to do that because it's not my job. But there's a difference between saying it's not my job and like when something becomes your job and then you don't get extra compensation for it.
Yeah, well, that's what Chris was saying, is that it doesn't matter in the Air Force. You're probably going to get that job, like that work, no matter what. So he's saying you might as well get promoted and get paid for it because you're going to do it no matter what.
Exactly. And that's like, so I'm studying, I'm giving it my all, even though I'm not passionate about it. Like, I know how to play the game. Like, I know what it takes to get promoted. It's very black and white. You will test this. You need this score to pass to get promoted. Okay, well, I'm going to do everything in my power. This is one thing I can control. I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to study. I'm going to give it my all. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, but this comes, what we were talking about, how, like, people, and I think people who stay in also lack passion for it, but you said they just stay in because they're comfortable. And they're the people who don't study for tests. They don't care if they make it or not. They don't care if they get this extra money. They're like, well, I'm still getting this paycheck. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And to me, like, I think all of us recognize that mentality, and that's not what we want. We want to almost work for ourselves. We got this very entrepreneurial spirit, right, to us, where we are in control of our lives. We know what it takes to get bigger, better places. So why are we going to stay in this monotony of work? Like, it's just, we all have this outlook, like, we can do better things. Like, why aren't we? Why are we wasting our time here? So
yeah, exactly.
It's about finding something you're passionate about. And I feel like this podcast is very good for us because we help other people recognize that, right? And it's almost like a therapy session for all of us. Like, what do we do? What are we passionate about? It makes you think. So like at work, when you're not feeling it anymore, like really dig deep and have that conversation with yourself. Like maybe journal. You're gonna rag on me for getting that nice expensive journal, but you saw it. It's nice.
It's nice.
It's
yeah,
nice.
They're nice.
Nice.
But so how to combat this is to just, sit down. Like, what do you really want in life? And I still don't have that answer, but I know what I don't want. So I'm going to take a leap of faith and try and do something I do want. For me personally, that's looking for a guard job in Vermont. Like, I know there's a base there. I know I could potentially work there. It's not going to be full time, but maybe that's exactly what I need. Maybe I reach out to them, at least have an interview, go visit, and be like, hey, I'll work part-time for you guys. And like that gives me an opportunity to do something I am passionate about while having that little bit of a safety net. It's not as much money as I make now, but it's something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it would take for the photography to take off, or for the podcast to grow enough, or like I find something else I'm very passionate about and can do that for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you never know. I mean, we talked about this Lost in Your 20s. You don't know what you want to do.
No.
I don't think like you ever really will, minus those people, like influencers that just do exactly what they love and they get paid for it. And that's the dream goal, right? It's like,
even for them though, people's life changes. And we talked about a lot of like external factors like people, but the fact of the matter is like over time you just change as a person.
Yeah, exactly. And
I feel like it's unfair to say that some people like that nobody knows exactly what they want to do. I mean, yeah, I think there's like it takes a while to get there sometimes, but I think if you actually like listen to your heart, like what is something that like over the years it just keeps on coming back to you, like something this idea or like this imagination that you're doing something that you would find so much enjoyment out of, something that
I got a good story for this. I got a really good story.
Yeah.
So this YouTuber that I watched, Peter McKinnon, that photography guy I always reference, he did a promotion, like a video with this leather crafting guy who's also in Canada. But so I just watched like a 14-minute YouTube on him. He's got a channel. It's called Little King Goods. It's pretty cool. Like he films making leather stuff. And he was like, I was working as an electrician full time, sometimes overnights. Like the money was there. And that's exactly what he talked about. He's like, I just didn't feel the passion for it. And he's like, I did leather on the side. I wasn't getting paid much, but he's like, I prayed to God, and I was like, God, like, give me a sense of direction. And he said 3 months later, my prayer was answered, and I got laid off. And he was like, I walked in there, and people were confused because I was like the happiest person who's ever been laid off before. And he's like, but that's exactly what I needed, because now I don't have that safety net. So now I have to grind at something I am passionate about. And he said it sacrificed 5 years. He had to live with his parents and his wife and his kid. Her parents, I think, or his. I think it was his parents. I'm sorry, but that's not what he wanted to do. Live with his parents for 5 years, but that's what it took for his leather crafting business to really take off. And now he's making a living doing what he loves.
Yeah,
and that's what it takes sometimes, is a little bit of sacrifice.
So he was fired from his job, and he was really happy about it.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah. I mean, so I was talking to you guys right before we started recording. That in this book that I'm reading, he talks about why we don't engage in our call, basically, and the reasons for that are the fear of failure and the fear of rejection, and it's usually those fears that are keeping us stuck. And in the case that you just talked about, somebody made that decision for him. Like he may have had the fear of failure or the fear of rejection or something. And someone actually, he couldn't go through with it himself. So someone made that decision for him, and he was happy about it. I mean, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Like in the military, people stay in because fear is driving them to stay in. And if they do well enough, then no one's going to make that decision for them. And that's when you get these salty people.
Yeah. And so another thing is, like, he hit a point. This is another subject he brought up, is 3 years in, his sales still weren't there. Like, he wasn't making enough money to pay his cell phone. Like, he just couldn't, and he couldn't support his family, and he felt terrible. So he said to his wife, like, I'm going to quit. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm going to go back to something that's comfortable. And she said, no, like, stick with it. You've made it this far. Just keep going. See what happens. And 2 years later, he's, you know, an entrepreneur. Like, he's got his own business. He's making a lot of money. And so the money's out there, man. No matter what you do, the money's out there. So I don't think you can make money your driving factor, though. Like, if it's something you love, that's the key to life, right? Like, if you make a living doing something you really love, I feel like that's what makes you happy.
Yeah, like if you find out that you just want to do whatever your hobby is, like photography for you or something like that, it doesn't really matter how much money you make, because now you just get to work doing the thing that you love. So you don't need the money to pay for the thing that you love because you're working for it. Exactly. So it's just like, even if you make like $30,000 a year just doing photography, as long as you have a house and you have enough to continue doing photography, dude, that's all you need, because that's what you want to do anyways.
It's a simple life, right?
Yeah.
You're not stuck in this daily grind of something you don't enjoy. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting, man. It's like, how do you find this passion though? And that's, you can't answer
another
that,
topic.
really.
Yeah.
Well, that's today's topic. But how do you, like, what do you do? How do you maybe for us, like, how do you at least spark enough passion to grind out these next 3 years? Like, how do we do
Listen
that?
to your heart, man. I know it sounds like the, you know, just like the go-to answer for anything, but dude, like,
There's a reason
just
it
pay
is.
attention to like what makes you feel good on the inside, like something that you genuinely want to put in the hours for, something that, you know, you don't care if you get recognized for. I mean, I feel like that's a big problem in society today, is nobody knows delayed gratification and what that is. We want everything instantly. But if you find like that thing that you don't need recognition for, you know, then maybe that is your calling. You just got to pay attention to these things.
Yeah. And I mean, finding that calling, finding that passion is something else. That could be why, like, for example, for us, we lost passion in the Air Force. It's because we've recognized that it's not where our heart is. It's not what we love doing anymore. And you said that you want more power in your life. You want to pursue more entrepreneurial like ways of living and everything like that. And that's probably why you lost the passion for it. That's probably why, I mean, I know that's why I've lost the passion for it, is because I want more control of my life and I want to do something better to help more people out there. I don't know about Jared. I feel like you're probably the same way. You probably want to, I mean, you found something else that you're more passionate for.
With me,
or
I know I haven't really talked about my experience this episode yet, but for me, like, service, like this kind of service is my passion. I joined the Air Force because I wanted to serve. You know, I wanted to put on a uniform. And yeah, like, maybe some of my views have changed, but I still enjoy this. You know, I don't necessarily want to do this job that I'm doing right now, but there's another job that I want to do, and I've wanted to do it for the past 10 years, and I still want to do it, you know. But I've, like, within the past year, I've talked about it before, I tried applying for 2 different jobs, and, you know, I got that taken away from me. So I've come across some, like, crossroads in my military career so far, but, you know, I still like it. I still want to do it. The big thing that I'm facing right now, though, is I'm thinking about my future, and I'm thinking about my future family. And I don't think that I could be as present as I want to be if I stay in the military. So what I'm thinking about right now is, you know, I'm trying to imagine myself doing other jobs. I'm doing research right now. I'm listening to my heart to, like, see what my calling is. And I know that it's service. I know I like working with my hands. I perform well under pressure. So I'm like, what job could I do that will fill this need?
Are we interviewing you right now?
Maybe. I don't.
You got it.
It kind of sounds like that, huh? No, but so I'm thinking about, you know, what job can I do that I can use my skills. Like, I know I have these skills in this experience, what job can I do that I can fill those needs, but also be present for my family, like in the future.
Yeah, that is a big thing. Is like we're not around. You know, this job burns you out. Military as a whole, like you move, you PCS, you're deployed. Like, when is the time that you could just sit back and relax? It doesn't happen. You're always on the move. And if you're not, your friends are. Your good friends, they leave.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, why? Like the passion, man. That's a big word. Is like, you know, everything I did enjoy is now gone. So now what do I have to enjoy?
There's more to passion than just the career itself. Like what Jared said. I mean, he wants to think about a future family, and that's passion right there. He wants a family. So it's like you have to pursue the best means to make that happen. And probably for him, the military is probably not the best bet for that.
And I think a key word you said, man, serve. That really struck home to me. Is you want to serve. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. Like, don't get me wrong. When I say this next part, I don't want to serve anymore. Like, I want to lead. I want to be the person in charge. You know, I want to have 100% control of whether I make it or not in this life. And I don't want to work for somebody who tells me my limits. Does that make sense?
I think, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong. I think when you say serve, I think you're talking about doing it for the betterment of like people. Yeah. So like serving in the military, you're serving your country.
I understand that. I'm not talking like serve like he's a follower.
That's what you made it sound like.
So the president of the United States, their number one responsibility is to serve the people of the United States. So in that
firefighters,
sense,
EMTs, anything. Yeah.
See, I don't have that passion. Like I love people and I don't want to like screw anyone over, but to me, I don't know. Serving is not really my thing. The word create would be like a passion for me. Like create stuff. Make lives better by that, not necessarily by like serving people. Does that make sense?
I could see that as serving people though. And in all honesty, you're trying to better people's lives, whether it be through entertainment or products or anything like that.
Well, then I guess serve is just an overarching term that covers everything. If you think about it, if you want to put it that way, Talon.
I wouldn't say so.
If I'm making the world you just said if I'm making the world a better place, which I want to do, I'm technically serving the world. So sure, I want to serve.
So you want okay? So
it probably is a little too much. Yeah.
So you want to create stuff and you want to provide a product to people.
I want
on his terms.
I want to better the world in the way I am able to. What that is yet, I don't know.
Yeah,
on your terms.
You as an individual, not like the military, not like an organization. You as Chris Lettieri, you want to better the world.
Yes, whatever little part I can. And to me, you know, the original 4 years was to serve. I was making a better place. I was doing my part, you know. But now that's gone. That passion is gone. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what this episode's about. Like, what else you boys want to touch on before we wrap up?
I kind of have a quick story, and it's just like it goes to show how. I mean, I know we've touched on it a lot, and we can honestly, even if we don't like this, Chris, we can cut it out. But it was just like I started my job 4 years ago, and when I started there, the company was small. We had I think my office. I started at my office right after it opened, and it was like 55 offices in total, and now we have almost 300. So the like here, and these are just some of the things that I noticed. So like when I got hired, they sent me like literally a gift basket of like all this stuff, you know, had all this stuff in like a handwritten, like, you know, thank you for joining the team here, blah, 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 like all this really cool stuff. And then not too long, like a couple months later, one of my coworkers got hired, and I asked her, I was like, what did you get? You know, what did they give you? And she goes, oh, I got like a drawstring bag. And I was like, oh, because like when I got hired, I got like this whole gift basket. So then I got a little curious, and I started paying attention. And like as the company grew, like I would ask, you know, new hires, be like, what did you get in your like care package? And it literally got to the point where it was like I got my packet from HR. I got my shirt and my name tag. So like, I mean, and it's funny because like, and it's not just with the employees you see, it's with the patients too. And like, listen, I'm one for big business. Like I'm a business person in a sense, like you do whatever it is you need to do to make more money. That's the point of a business. But I think I've said this in the past, but I think healthcare is kind of like the exception to the rule where like, if you're, you know, I'm not to say playing with, but like if you're playing with people's lives and like their livelihoods and their ability to like, you know, function physically, you should be taking more care of the person. That should come first. And like, you know, it's funny because we see our motto is like, it's on our wall. It says it's all about the people. And there was a time where I believed that. And now I look at that and I just like, every time I see it, I want to cross out people and write in money.
Oh no.
And it's just like, and it sucks because there is like, you know, we talk like a lot of the point of this episode was like, what can you do to change it? And I think the problem in a situation like that is there is nothing you can do to change it. And I think this is kind of the instance where it's like, if you're not happy where you are as much as it's a tough thing to do, then you need to leave.
Yeah. So here I've got a few points to that.
Sure.
Number one, I think the reason we all feel like this is because we've hit that point where like we're progressing in the ranks, and Randy, you've been there long enough, so you're progressing in the ranks as well, right? Like you're getting more money, you're getting more responsibilities.
Yeah.
We see how things are run versus when we first joined or first got hired, we're just doing what we were told to do because we didn't know anything better. Yeah. And now we're seeing this. My aunt's a retired chief, and I talked to her yesterday, and I was like, you know, look, I see the decisions that are being made and I don't agree with them. And I've gone to these people with solutions and they don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah. And that's part of it. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Cause I've said these things and like, listen, when at the end of the day, my boss is like as much, you know, he's a director, but at the same time, like when you're a director compared to, you know, the CEO of the company, you're still nobody. So like, I can say these things to my boss all I want, but I mean, even if he agrees with me 100%, which he has on a lot of the things that I've talked to him about, there's nothing he can do about it. And that's what's tough.
Well, see that, and this is my other point, you know, that conversation, that communication, it needs to happen. And if it doesn't, you need to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And then obviously you're going to hit a breaking point where if they don't listen, that's when you completely check out, right? That's when your mentality is gone, your passion for it. Oh, let me finish. It's like, you're gone, right? So then you move on, like you said. But to get back to another point you made in the beginning, like when you first got your goodie bag, I'll call it, right?
Yeah.
Jared's favorite book, The Power of Moments, right, Jared? This is like that's exactly it, bro. That's what that book talks about. It's like, take advantage of those moments that could really inspire people. Like, hi, welcome to our company. Here's all this cool stuff. Like, we're excited to see how you work with us. Like, we're excited to grow with you and be successful together, right?
Yeah.
And now that you're getting those people who are getting not like a T-shirt. Here's your T-shirt. Like, do your fucking job.
Yeah.
That's two different mentalities that you've witnessed happen.
Yeah, and it's
like
disheartening.
Bringing that up, you know, like maybe it takes going above your director. Maybe it takes like, I don't know how you would get in contact, but you can do research and like find someone high up and be like, hey, my name's Randy Squire. I'm a tech. This is what I've witnessed. And I think like you'd get a lot better results if you went back to the way it was and like helped inspire people, you know, instead of, go ahead.
Well, I say this is actually, so it's actually kind of crazy you mentioned that because this actually happened the other day. So it's a Thursday. Thursdays are slower, and our CEO unannounced comes in, right? Comes into the office.
It's like Robert California.
Like catches us all off guard. But like, you know, now keep in mind, there's still patients in the facility. Guy walks up to us and is like, how is everything? Like, what can we do to change it? Like, what are we doing? Like, is there anything we can change? Is there anything we can do better? And like, on one hand, that's great that he came up to us and said it, but then at the same time, he said it in an environment where he's not going to get a bad response.
Yeah.
Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we have patients in the room. We're supposed to be like, oh, I got a whole list of things we can change.
That's
like,
true.
you can't do that. I mean, I guess you can do that, but like at the same time, it's kind of like you asked a tough question in a situation where you have pretty much complete control over what the answer is going to be.
He's planting the seed. So take a day and email him.
Dude,
be
that's
like,
what I would do.
hey,
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate that you care about your employees. This is what I really like about the company. Here's some things that I think we could possibly improve on.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah. You have the perfect opportunity right now.
Your leaders are never gonna be perfect. Okay, you also need to know how to respond as well.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good point.
That is a tough situation, right? Like, how am I gonna say like if our commander walked in front of like my supervisor, like, oh, what do you think could change? I'm not gonna be like, my supervisor can be less of a dick. Like,
yeah,
well, you got to think about the point of view of the leader, of the boss who came in. Like, of course they know that you're gonna give some bullshit response. They know they're not gonna get 100% transparency. It's your job to get back with them and be like, hey, actually, I've been thinking. Like, here's something we could work on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's what I'm going to do like next week at work. I'm just going to sit down, like I said, and have that conversation with people. Just, make people aware. And then if that doesn't happen, like maybe I'll talk to our boss and be like, hey, this is what I see is going on. You're always looking for ways like, why are people getting burnt out? What can we change? Here's what I see can change. And if they tell me to fuck off, like I fuck off. Whatever. I'm done. I check out. Because that was my last ditch effort to like, this is what I see. If you're not going to listen, then why do you even ask? But it's on you to take that initiative. And I think we both have that opportunity next week. Maybe we just sit down and, you write up that email and I go in and talk. So,
yeah.
I think
go
ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was just going to say, I think we're kind of running into a running theme that we've seen across the podcast a lot about having the tough conversation.
Yeah. And I think it's just bravery, like not letting fear control you as well.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be afraid of an outcome. At least you're getting stuff off of your chest. You're saying what needs to be said. And if they don't listen, you tried, man. You tried, and then you move on, and then you find another company to work for. You create your own company. You do whatever you want. But passion, man. It's all about passion. That's what drives you. It's what keeps you going, and it's what makes your life enjoyable, and what makes you content. So hopefully we talked about ways you can find it and maybe address certain situations, but the power is realistically always yours. You just need to find a way to funnel that power.
All right, guys, this has been Lessons Learned. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and go follow our other social media pages linked in the description. From all of us here at Lessons Learned, have a good day and see ya!